My childhood neighborhood, December 1989. Why I'm telling you this I don't know. Maybe you'll listen, maybe you'll laugh. Maybe you just don't give a shit and you didn't even make it this far. For those who did, love life, fuck yeah. Self-doubt. Please enjoy. The cul-de-sac looked like a big splat of paint if you were looking down from an eagle's point of view. In the middle you had a massive oval, but none of us kids ever played on because it was covered, fucking full of vicious, poisonous, tiny little spiky fuckers called bindis, bindi to be fancy, but the oval was cover, all year round. The road dropped in from the top, following the oval all the way around, rounded edge of the oval opposite to a cul-de-sac, 3 cul-de-sacs in total, the third fort with all the other cul-de-sacs for notorious reasons. Bin night was always a competition to see whose bin was going to be the loudest. We would all wait in silence in anticipation for their bins to be emptied as their garbage truck came around. The loud smashing of the beer bottles was always entertaining. If the garbage truck drivers didn't come that night, our parents would lay in bed with pillows over their heads suffering from hangovers from the previous night, as they are forced to listen to the hundreds of bottles being recycled. The Thursday morning ritual was a classic, with Barry number 48 winning, always followed by Chooki in number 36 next door and coming in third but attempting first, Mark Brassington in number 19 in Palu Crescent. The back fences all connected to something adventurous. Up the street behind all the houses was the power tower. Climb it if you're dared. Some kid did once and I sure did try, but only got past barbed wire, then freaked out and turned back. One kid, Kevin, went all the way to the top and the rescue chopper got called and all. Below it a softball field, with the houses separating the softball fields to the road and oval. 2. The field stretched down the back of all left-sided houses, all government-owned commission authorities' house, such as ours. They all lined the loop side by side. Beyond the softball fields was a canteen, picnic tables, a cooler, and some chairs. We used to jump onto the top of the contested canteen all of the time, just being a little hoodlum. One day there was 2 cute girls under the cola. They were drinking alcohol. They call me and my friends over. They hand me a cap, not a cup, full of whiskey and dare me to drink it. I shot it straight down, showing off because I'm Podgy, Brazo's son. I didn't say it at the time, but fuck me, that shit burned my face off, my very first poker face, as I hold it still with a fake smile. I had a good go at softball and many other sports. It was a great childhood full of sport, full of good friends and memories. Soccer, however, not so good. I got so bored shitless on the field I pretended I was a train and ran around in circles going toot, tioti, chugga, chugga, toot, tioti, pulling the master chain and being the commander of the world's fastest coal train. The soccer fields themselves were further down past the softball fields. Sport directly behind us every day, season every weekend, 4 games at once until finals. I made best improved player once, even got a fucking kick-ass coffee mug. It had my name, team, and year on it. It was in the cabinet for years, until I started drinking coffee fucking 10 years later. It was then I thought, why a fucking coffee mug? Fucking 9-year-old chugging down a cappuccino, chai tea, fucking we were lucky to even get fucking hot Milo. Fucking. If we stay on the backside of the houses, rounding down past the softball fields, along the fence lining and at the softball field's end you would come across a creek. The Creek was often a barrier between a quick ride to the BMX track or a long ride up and over the bridge, and yes, I said a fucking BMX track. It had a power tower station above it, but hey, fuck it, who cares when there's massive hills, awesome bikes, riders, girls. One Christmas or birthday, I can't remember, I got a blue BMX bike. Padding was awesome. I had race numbers on the front, the handlebars had padding matching to the base, and the padding of the seat was totally awesome. It matches the wheels and the rest of the bike. It also come with valve caps, little metal tire dice caps. For the first time I heat these fucking awesome and pointless tiny caps, just because it looks cool. So I was totally stoked and wanted to take the bike out straight away. I took my BMX bike over to the tracks. I rode as fast as I could up over and around that tracks, pushing as fast and as hard as I could. The track itself was kick-ass BMX bike track and used for professional competitions. 3. My bike was just kick-ass, cruising over hills and mounds. I was doing my best kick-ass tricks. I could be a professional. By the time I returned back to the main hill where you start, I was totally out of breath. This cooler older guy asked if he could have a turn. Me, being totally gullible, said yeah, sure. He jumps on my bike. He goes over the first hill, bunny hops, then over the second hill, a little kick in the air over, to the third hill. He does a wheelie and holds it up for quite a while. I remember looking in at him and thinking that was pretty cool. Then he rode my bike over the fourth hill. This one he just sped up and straight over. He kept on speeding, went over the next dirt mound, then paddled harder, continuing straight over the next mound. I was anticipating a trick, but he got further and further away from me, away from the BMX track, speeding off into the distance, disappearing out of sight. It took a minute before I caught on that he had stolen my bike. He was gone, and so was my bike. We followed the creek from Slime Time to its end, normally narrow, flowed through 3 suburban towns and abruptly ended into a swamp bush at the end of all the towns, disappointing after a 3-hour bike ride through bridges, winding around muddy bends, traveling further down, town after town, only to conclude the question of where the creek goes was just a muddy swamp out back, out nowhere. That was that. The hot anticipated suburban weather would open lead wicked suburban storms rolling in quick and fast, leaving just as quick as they come in. The tunnel system rages, causing flash flooding of the normally narrow and shallow concrete channel we called a creek. The tunnel system came from all over Sydney. All the tunnels seemed to end under the Tennillious Bridge, creating a large complex tunnel system that all seemed to flow into this one destination. One time at the BMX track, a kick-ass thundering ball of bright green rain came rolling in from the distance. We watched in amazement before reliving we should get home. Within a second the creek begun flooding. Our challenge to normal path home and risk coming raging waters, or go the long ways and get stuck in hailstorm. We risk it. My sister Natasha, Pickle, Kelly, and I. What happened next, I still am blown away. So literally during a flash flood we decided we would try to cross to making usual shortcut in a rush, but the waters rose so high so quick, we had to join hand by hand, arm linked to arm to make our way across, dumping our bikes as they are swept away in the river. Our linking arms swiss ever tighter. Halfway, we are all freaking out. It's now raging, we can barely keep a grip. My sister suddenly lets go. saying, "I just felt something brush past my leg. I think it was an animal." The rest of us scurry for survival, trying not to die, drown, or be swept away. Finally Pickle, Kelly, and I make it to the other side. However, Natasha's still in the middle, searching the waters with the arms. 4. Wide open, racking the water as she walked with Flo. We see she's looking around for that something that brushed past her leg. We thought she was mad. We all started screaming, "Get out, quickly, get out." And she's still searching for whatever it was. We said, "Don't worry about it, it's probably a dead rat or rabbit or something like that. Get out of the water, get out now." The current quickens, flowing faster, almost losing her footing. With a slip and a grab, see, she pulls up a black clump of wet fur. We squint our eyes to try to make out what the hell it could be. The black clumped ball of fur then went YLP. It was a puppy. The small dog had somehow got in the water. Natasha raises it high above her head and makes her way to the side banks, saying, "There must be others, there must be others," and trying to go back in. We wouldn't let her go back in and said, "You're better off taking this one home." Bye. This time we could barely keep a hold on the side banks yourself. She took the pup home and cared for it all day and all night, trying to keep it warm and fed, but unfortunately I did pass away later on in the second day. Now, if you imagine, we've now completed the straight and halfway around the loop. Next to the bridge and the system of tunnels, through the assorted alleyways adjacent to the bridge, behind the final loop's houses was a massive PCYC, a building that was the Police Citizens Youth Center. A blast of a time, free karate trials all the way up until you had to pay for uniform, but you could continue to participate but not compete if you did not have that uniform. The PCYC often had free events such as milkshake nights, trampolining competitions, buff man night, karate competitions, and all the indoor sports you could want try out. A before-school breakfast club, but best all was the blue light disco night, all only for an annual fee of $10. Great memories burned into my brain forever. Fuck yeah, best time ever. In what seemed an endless summer, 6 weeks of the Australian Christmas sun, we used our bikes for transport to places that sound like made-up stories, but all true from a childhood point of view. Beyond our houses, past the softball fields, beyond the creek and way past the BMX track, beyond Wilmot and Shelby, we found what seemed abandoned rifle range. It always seems to be empty and always seemed to be quiet, although whenever we went there, and we went a few times, we always found it new bullet casings, empty shells scattering the floor of the rifle range, big ones, small ones, ones that looked like they exploded. We would rush around, collect them, screaming we've scored. With my hoard of bullets that fill a jar, the jar full I take to school, trying to sell them to any fool, asking around. All the students caught wind, and so did the teacher, whom took me to the principal. In the principal office he asked me seriously, "Son, does your father have a gun?" "No," replied. "The rifle range. They're from the rifle range," I tried to explain. 5. Oh, shit. He thought that my dad had firearms, guns hidden at the family home, report and warrants. We weren't even allowed back, or if we did not, to collect bullets. Beyond the rifle range was an endless bushland with minimal tracks. The bushlands pushing as far back as no bike could take us, but we did try once. After what seemed like hours of riding into the bushland, we discovered what looked like a chicken farm, out in the middle of the nowhere's land-surrounded bush. It was peculiar that the chicken farm had army jeeps out the front. We could see men in army uniforms, then an alarm sounds. We are here. 2 motorbikes start up, getting closer, the motors rev, closer, we get passively chased out of bush, by what seems like 2 police officers, dressed in blue overalls, with visible badges on their arms. They chased us for hundreds and hundreds of meters through the bushland, zipping past and back around, trying to intimidate us and successfully scaring us. We all scurry out of the bushland, finally making our way back to the yards of suburbia. In the motorbikes turn back, I remember hiding in the shrubs, watching them disappear back into the bushland. We all thought about the conspiracies of what we have just found, and if they had found us, they'd probably lock us underground. We dared never to return, the chicken sheds fading into memory and bushland. In the heat of summer, the neighborhood children had found a quarry, an old sunken soccer field, that had now filled with years of rainwater. We all used to jump off the side mounds, which seems like mountains, from high cliff into the water, swimming over to the left-hand corner, where we could stand on what was the old canteen. We went there almost every day in summer, until the older teenagers learned of the quarry and begun to drive cars into the water, making it dangerous for us to swim there with the shards of glass and rusting metal below the muddy green-tinted water. So, to fill in the time, we found what we named the slime time, where all the tunnels meet, up the creek and under the bridge, a flat platform of concrete slightly slanted, that had a consistent buildup of slime. We used this slime to slide, with our boogie boards, bikes to ride through, skin boards, skateboards without wheels, all to get the longer slides, taking fins of surfboards. Slime time from dusk till dawn, would slide for hours through the sludge and slime. Really, it was. Only until Troy, the next-door neighbor, started to lose fingernails, we thought it wasn't the best idea and had to come up with a new place and a new idea. If you thought bin night was exciting, bonfire firecracker night was even better. Bonfire night was bonzer, a fire as tall as a house, drunken dickhead, and the usual brawl. So that's all backside, outside of all the houses in the P-loop crescent, the lining back fences. Now to describe to you all the houses within Palu Crescent, houses and homes, family, friends and childhood nemesis. Firstly, at the top end our street, it started with a naked park, a vacant lot. At once they had play equipment, but many years ago, only rusted poles remain. 6. The park lead into the softball fields, where there was the towering power tower, a link of power lines leading suburb to suburb from power station to power station, the lines always buzzing, humming, high above the fields and behind our house. The first house was made of bricks, luckily it was. Because the pricks that lived there would have burned it down, the family of mongrels and ratbags, rule-less kids with careless parents, parents more absent present. The boys that lived there were thought to be responsible for the majority of the neighborhood break-ins. One time we went to investigate loud banging noises, like explosions, coming from their house. We pop our heads just above and over the fence. The 3 ratbag boys were throwing spray cans into the homemade fire pit. Kaboom! They see our heads sticking over the fence and then invite us in, wanting us to witness the almighty booms. So we jump the fence, my best friends, my sister and I. We stand in witness and listen closely in silence, listening to a fizz, the gas leaking from the spray can, the pressure builds up, then boom! Fireball shoots up into the air, the can exploded. As the explosion takes to the sky, the spray can head split, releasing the gas and something whizzed past me, faster than a speeding bullet, through the chipboard wood board, through an old cupboard door, past one of the boys hiding behind that same wardrobe door, then through the lower glass panel of the laundry window, looking exactly like a bullet hole, straight through the window. Realizing that the ball bearing in the can, a small metal ball to help shake and stir the paint in the can, had come pretty close and almost hit me, we come to quickly conclude that the boys had put me in that position purposefully. I looked at my sister and my friend and said, "We've got to leave now before another one explodes." We begin to run in the panic and another explosion goes. Boom! Scurrying away, I slip, falling trying to hurry in my escape. As we gain our feet in dust and dirt, one of the little brothers, the little fucker, ripped the hat of my head, my favorite hat. My uncle gave me that hat. He is a famous fisherman whom gave me this trucker hat. It was very important and very cool. He ripped the hat off my head, then threw it over his next-door neighbor's fence. Natasha Nicholas waited out front in fear. I decided I would creep over the fence. As slowly as I could to retrieve my hat, I put my head over the fence and see it's there. I can see it, so close. I up and over within a second. Just as I creep over ever so slowly and softly, the ratbag kids yells, calling for the dog. It rushes me. Now I'm trying to avoid to get bitten, then 7. Boom. Another explosion. The dog takes grip of my leg, biting down tight, clutching down hard, violently shaking my leg, shaking it like it was a sausage on the rope. Boom. Another explosion. The dog loosens its grip. A chance to go. I hurry back over, heart beating, frightened. Now on the other side I had my hat in my hand, but then had a look down at my leg. Holy shit, I can see blood and flesh. I've been mauled, blood gushing everywhere. I remember all I could do was call for help. 17 stitches, 1 tetanus shot, and a lot of numbing shots in between. The little bastards, I'll never forget them being so mean. Weeks later, that same nasty vicious dog accidentally hung itself over the fence, trying to jump over whilst on the lead attached to under the cola. He got over the fence, but then it hung there, because the rope tightened and there was not enough slack between the fence and the floor. The rope slipped between the palings and the poor thing could breathe no more. I told my father and he fell over in laughter. A few houses down from those guys lived Justin and Danielle. 2 siblings and their parents. Justin was a little shit, a turd. He was always being jealous of our bikes and our toys. He would let down our tires, then want to race. But then even if you were winning, he would give up halfway or quit before getting started. While racing, he would ram the back tire of our bike, causing us to lose control, lose the race, or have an accident. When he made me stack it and I was knocked unconscious. He had a similar age sister, Danielle, who was a very shy and would often hide instead of playing. You see, she got made fun of, the unknown cause of deep purple birthmark that literally covered half of her entire body had the children in fear. However, it's a birthmark, not a rash. She was born with it, just like I was born dyslexic. The birthmark was a deep dark purple tone. Her icy blue eyes gazed at me with a smile. You could see she masked her pain. Her long brown hair was always outshadowing the purple haze that covered the left-hand side of her face and body. I wrote her a poem for her once, but I feared if anyone ever found it or become aware that I liked whom they called the half-caste purple girl, I'll be ridiculed, especially by my sister, who was relentless with her bullying, just as she was with all other aspects of my life. So, dear Danielle, your beautiful birthmark highlighted your icy blue eyes that gazed upon me give me a zest and a feelings of jeune. Podgy. 8. Further down the cul-de-sac, I didn't have much memory of them, other than 2 Dalmatians dogs, and that they were heavily Christian, with 2 blue-eyed, blonde children. Then the house before us was the house of inbreeds. I don't know who was fucking who, or who was related to what. I thought I knew, but their shit was all backwards. The old woman's voice was always screaming out for one reason or another. We all imagined she was a big fat old lady, because we never, ever seen her. There were 2 older boys that lived there off and on, in and out of jail. One time they beat up my dad. Then it was Patty Girl, a 30-years-old woman who was stuck in a 12-years-old's formation, always playing with us in the yard, bangles, dress, makeup, bra and tied-up hair. She was always there, until I found out. Patty Girl was no girl, she had a dick. I know I seen it one time. I went out to feed the dogs, the window was open, I looked inside and seen Patty Girl had a dick that's long, a salami stick, a love sausage. The thing was bigger than my dad's. I was totally shocked. I went to get my cousin. I needed a witness. He came out and instantly said, "Yep, that's a dick." Still no one believed us. Patty Girl was really Patrick. Last but not least, Natalie. Natalie was heavily retarded. I apologize for the use of this word because in the 80s there was no such thing as the spectrum of autism, there was no National Disability Services. We used the words our parents would, terrible to say in today's world, but in 1989 there were no other words other than retarded, mongoloid, spastic and or vegetable. Often seen biting her own wrist, sticking her finger up, muttering the words, "Fuck you," for all hours rolling around her front yard. One time she decided to play a practical joke on my mom and dad. In the morning heat of in the western suburbs summer, my parents' window would often wide open. It was a wind-open chain window, so closing it or opening it was a timely task. Natalie grabs the mail from the letterbox, turned the hose on full ball. She then cleverly pinched it, holding back the water. She then crept up to my parents' window, then threw in the mail, followed by the hose, screamed, "Here's your mail," letting go of the hose deep inside the window, the water spraying everywhere, left to right. I remember hearing my dad waking up in fright, screaming, "The water bed has broken," water spraying, him soaked, unable to see, smashing into everything, finding pants 'cause he was in his undies, realizing Natalie was still at the window like a creeper, laughing, but admittedly, so was I, watching on from the front yard. On the other side of us lived a family. They were similar to us, the dad named Chooki. 9. Who worked with my dad as a removalist. the older brother, Troy. He ripped off my dad's marijuana plants one time. He got caught by his own father being a stoner, had to return what he hadn't smoked or given away. He had to repay my dad by mowing the lawns in the heat of the summer sun. The older sister Wendy was a horny young thing. She loved to play touch and kiss any secret opportunity to experiment with her sexuality. Once in the old green ute I got to play catch and kiss with Wendy, being my first sexual experience. Kissed and touched my penis. This begun lifelong love for beautiful women. The younger brother Kevin was a good friend of mine, but would always be stealing my shit. My mini real McCoy pocket knife I got from Pioneer Village as a gift from my father, my favorite G.I. Joe toy going missing and then found at Kevin's house. One of my skateboards never returned, and my favorite t-shirt I got from my grandmother stolen and never returned, but still Kevin was always there on almost every adventure, and we probably would have been friends forever. Next to them was an old couple that always had a pristine garden, blinds, shutters always down, and I remember really ever seeing them. An alleyway separated their fence line from the family over. The Gerard family, they had seances in their front yard, Ouija board sessions in the garage with the door wide open, spooky parties in the middle of the yard in the middle of the night. Sometimes fooling us with fake money notes on string, leading us through the alleyway before the money note took flight. But we were always told not to leave our bikes out because they're on the list of thieves that might take it. They were the weirdest. Next door to them was an old fella who loved to drink a lot. His name was Bruce, who loved yelling profanities at the children as they rode past. Any opportunity to be offensive, Bruce was your man. His recycle bin always coming close in competition to Barry's when it came to providing noise of a smashing during recycling. Next door to the old fella lived my closest lifelong best friend, Nicholas Clements, the Pickle, and I was the Podgy, the Podgy, and the Pickle. We created many childhood stories and memories that would last years and lifetimes. We remained friends for years until he fucked my second wife in our adult life. Nicholas, his father, was a heavy drinker. His young brother Ben and toddler Joseph, his mother Sharon, would boil all of their cooking and forced everyone who dared to sit at the dinner table to eat it. Once I stayed for a sleepover, ate the dinner, forcefully I mentioned, and then vomited, spewing green peas everywhere. Afterwards, I was turned off peas for forever. 10. We grew our love for ladies together, going to the pools at every opportunity. We had even got our first job together to help pay for pool entry. Until we got fucking robbed in Shalvey as two 10-year-old paperboys. Two older Aboriginal boys came out from nowhere, held a knife to my throat, and took the bum bag from around my waist. They ran away as quick as they came. When we returned back to the boss and we told him what had happened, he didn't believe us. He accused us of stealing the money. And then he fired us. After that we lived and breathed skating, 4 wheels on each foot, roller discos, and consistently flow of ladies on family holidays. There was a period of about 2 years when me and Nicholas did not speak. After playing professional football in a professional game, I chose not to wear a mouthguard. Me and Pickle, Nicholas, went for the same tackle, accidentally connecting the top of his head to my face. Head butted directly in the face. You see, we were the only two motivated players. When Pickle's head connected with my face, I remember my nose breaking instantly, blood gushing out my face, and then I spat out my tooth, spitting it into my hand, but it was not the headbutt stopped us talking, but the fact my best friend said I was letting the team down while I was on the ground holding my face together, the blood fountained, emerging between my fingers as I hold my face, lost teeth, and following 2 years of root canal crowning and recreating costs after costs, I never returned to professional football after that. 2 years passed. In that time Pickle had met his lifelong partner and future wife Andrea, who also became a best friend of mine and had her initiations into becoming a part of the Goonies. She was just like us. Goonies, a title from a movie of a group children on a lifetime adventure. Next door to Nicholas and his family and was the Nintendo Game Masters, the House family. The house always had motors around the yard. I lost a toenail jumping over one of them once. It was very painful. Matt's younger brother was reported missing once. We had to search the streets, the tunnels and BMX track. They found him sleeping at his house, under a pile of washing. When he awoke to a police torch in his face, he said that they were just playing hide and seek and no one ever found him, so he fell asleep. The older brother was known as Bowser, the same name as Mario's nemesis. I can't remember his real name, but my dad would always invite him over to help defeat the Nintendo character Bowser. Dad would work his way up to 99 lives and die trying to defeat Bowser on the Nintendo game console. Matt's brother, Bowser, would bring over elaborate games that all had no direct mission and endless alien worlds to navigate. We thought they were pretty cool games. Next to them in the house next door was the Karate family. Kung Fu in daily life, they ate, shat and drink karate. 11. Their father always in his silk karate pants, either red or white, depending on the day. The brother Terry always in his white karate outfits no matter where he was, whether it was trampolining or out in the backyard, always showing off his colored belts. Him and his family attended every PCYC karate tournament and training session. The whole family lived and breathed karate. Terry one time rode his bike into the back of my dad's parked Mack truck, reaching his arms out, eyes closed, catching the wind. Smack, his body hits the back of the truck. The top half of his body stopped, but the bottom half kept going under. Terry were friends, I remember. We used to have sleepovers, share toys, trampoline, Power Rangers, and bonsai karate kids. One time going over for a sleepover, we watched a movie called Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme. For the first time, I was like, fuck yeah. I want to be a karate kid. When I came back to my family home, the house smelt of devastating dog shit, staining my brain for about 30 seconds. Before it subsided, the stinking faded. I still think it's because our house was haunted and I just come back from a house where they were devoted to a cause and I was inspirationally inspired. I believe the demon ghost protested my re-entry to the family home. A house overlived a young goddess. She was the same age as I. Her beauty was striking, her green eyes were intriguing, her silky golden hair would shimmer and shine in the light or lightning, her pale pink flash would always leave me for breath. Oh, did I admire the beautiful goddess with the name Nicole. I jumped at any opportunity for her interactivity. She also would create sneaky opportunities for us to be alone, whether be a dark cupboard, under cubby house made of blankets, to organizing campouts and sleepovers, as often as possible, my sister traveling to her house or Nicole would come stay at mine. When would she would? Boy, oh, boy would I get excited, trying to keeping calm so didn't spoil it. You see, me and Nicole loved to experiment, each interaction getting further to a one-way direction, my erection full of adolescent semen, her body vibrating, vagina throbbing with desire to get even closer. So, as adolescents do, she crept into my bedroom in the darkest of night, my eyes already open with anticipation of her arrival. She tiptoes to the bed where I pretend to be half asleep. I feel her peel back the bed sheet and slide inside. I widen my eyes just a little. Yes, it's her. As she draws herself closer, warmer, the body heat rises and intensifies the desire to take off our clothes. We strip off and begin to get lost in our experimentation, and things take a more natural direction. She raises her naked bare thigh high up over my legs, brushing my throbbing erection. Her knee touches my chest and slowly she lowers it just as softly as she began. She lay on my arm, where I could brush my fingers through her hair, tickling her back with the tip of my nails with a graceful touch, a touch as lightly as the heavens allowed. 12. She grabs my shoulder and brushes up hard and closer, her beating vagina compressed against my leg, with the same hand traveling down my body past my chest, past my belly. Her small petite hand wraps around my tingling penis. With a light twist and a pull, my heartbeat intensifies, my hand raising to her body and exploring every shaping memory. My hand cups hers throbbing wet pink lips, my middle finger naturally drawn in, gliding up the middle, up between the two beautiful naturally moist pink lips. I touch the button with giggles. She feels the tickle, just a little. She smiles and jerks. I feel her toes curl. We continue to rub hands, rub bodies, rub unforgettable memories. There were various houses between the ones that I've described. The houses filled out the different cul-de-sacs in the loop. Next to Nicole's house was a multi-unit retirement village. We rarely seen anyone there, so as we go on into the final cul-de-sac with about 6 houses filling it, I only remember one. The house where my sister's lifelong best friend lived. At her house and filing her yard, she had 6 massive Rockawilla dogs, and there were 7 children, mostly girls and all under 12. They ended up moving due to the expansion of the family. Kelly's mother asked my sister Natasha to go and check on the house after they had moved, making sure there was no damage or anything left behind. So with the key, Natasha, Pickle, and I go to check out the empty house. It was like a little adventure. Once inside, we look around, and within 3 seconds our legs start turning black. We were being swamped, covered in fleas, wild hungry fleas. Looking down at our legs, we were covered in fleas. Our legs begin to turning black, with the tiny parasites gathering to the flesh to feed their starvation. We all screamed, running out of the house, jumping and squealing. I ran so far and so fast, shaking, brushing and jumping the fleas of my legs. I flicked my shoes and socks off, ran barefoot onto the oval, running as fast as I can. I got to the center before I ran out of breath, then realizing the oval's bindi had covered my feet, the poisoning pain become overwhelming. It cripples my legs. I think I fainted. I gasping for breaths, as the world turned black. I remember while in a semi-conscious state, my dad turned up from nowhere, like he teleported, scooped me up and took me home. My mom thought it would be a good idea to rub onions into my poisoned feet. It was some old wife's tale that was definitely false, so Dad ran a cold bath where the swelling went down. 13. Natasha rang Kelly on the landline, the old called phone, and told her about the fleas. Kelly was so embarrassed she denied it was possible and accused us of just making up the story. Now the final stretch leading up to the end of the road, it had about 12 houses, but I only remember 2 of them, maybe 31 always had awesome Halloween treats. The second had a girl with epilepsy. She was consistently having seizures and episodes. I remember one time she had an episode at our house while visiting. All of us kids had to leave the house. It was pretty frightening. The third and final house was an abandoned house full of furniture, toys, clothes, dolls, beds, a broken TV. There was a fire pit in the lounge room that had burned straight through floorboards. It seemed it was fueled and fed, keeping the house warm once upon a time. I remember there was a large tiled coffee table, which Kevin's mom Carrie tried to steal one time. The tiled top antique coffee table was very heavy and would have been difficult for anyone to move, however, but she wanted it. So one night Carrie crept up there, went through a window. She tried to take the table, and halfway out the door, red and blue lights flash. Police. The police crashed, tackled her to the floor. She was arrested for break and enter. It turns out the owner/tenant went to jail and his mother was still paying rent for the place. She was too old to go to the house and check on it, so she asked the next door neighbor to keep an eye out, and so they did. And when seeing Carrie halfway out the door with the furniture, so the next door had no other choice but to call and reported it. After the police arrested her, Carrie sentenced to 6 months jail, leaving her husband Chooki and children Troy, Kevin, Wendy to go wild, becoming almost as feral as Up the Street's ferals. Now, if I could bring you back to the house that I grew up in. A 3-bedroom brick home partially covered in vines, a clean-cut front lawn, but out back of FC 1976 restorable car, an ugly green ute rusting, bike parts, motor spare parts scattered everywhere, chewed dog bones litter all the other zones. There was an area for a pool in summer. From the oldest dog I could remember, Buster, Madison, Claude, then to an old dog we called Pensioner, there were guinea pigs, cats, fish, and any other stray animal Natasha would find along the way. The old dog Pensioner turned up on our doorstep one day, like a long-lost dog that finally found his way home. I remember he was old and gray, so we naturally called him Pensioner. He slept on the end of my bed almost every day and every night. He was a simple fella and 14. We had many loving memories together. He was probably my favorite, as I can't remember feeling closer to any other animals I did like Pensioner. All animals met their demise either by natural disaster or made man death trap. It's still one reason I don't have pets today. Our backyard had a massive oak tree 150 years old, right in the center of the back fence line, that shaded half the backyard in summer. My father is no master builder, but he had built a 2-story tree house that was a childhood wonder, exceeding all expectations. The treehouse grew with each year that unfolded. The hordes of material free from the side of the street got used over weekend projects. The sheds packed with motors and other tools and assorted bikes, a greenhouse Dad had made for his marijuana plants to grow. The yard was always full of dog bones and dog shit everywhere you go. Dad had made the gate out of our back fence an easy route get through onto the softball fields as a quick escape if you needed to, but you did have to go through the gauntlet of bikes, motor parts, and dog poo, and nobody really wanted to turn up to softball smelling like they had rolled in dog manure. In summer, if we were lucky enough, one of the little rat bags would knock the handle off the public tap. The taps were in every field. Smashing it off would be causing a fountain of water to explode into the air, a cascade in a rainbow of H2O. All of us kids in the neighborhood would see it and all come running, celebrating, dancing in the fountain of water, until the council came to fix it, and then, oh fuck, fuck. We would all screaming it wasn't us. Run thinking they might blame us, fine us, or take us away. I still believe my house was truly fucking haunted. There were many times of which I could question what I had seen, but couldn't deny what I had felt. Whether I was on medication or there was a full moon electrically storm, the house was majorly fucking haunted, and I only have my stories to prove it. From a crying ghost baby, full-body apparitions, a red-headed ghost girl whom had a half-burnt face, she would calmly sit on the end of my antique framed bed. When you would see her, she would look back at you, as clear as day. She would then smile before fading into mist and fading into your imagination. Home alone and seeing my mother's face in the window, being touched, tugged, or pulled, things going missing, and mist of white light shimmering in the corner of your eye, all true. We had 2 burst gas mains, and that led to 2 separate house fires. My mom lost her eyebrows with the first gas explosion. A ball of flame instantly combusts. I remember looking into the kitchen and seeing it engulfed in flame, my mother's head on fire. 15. We got out and watched the house burn, but in the madness, there was someone yelling, "My child is still inside, my child, my child." Looking around, it wasn't my mother and it wasn't my father, a woman's voice screaming, my child is still inside, my child." But looking around at the gathered neighbors, no one's lips are moving, no one can see whom the voice is coming from. In the confusion, we gave it no conclusion as it faded to the back-out minds. After that, the kitchen and house was rebuilt, but a second gas explosion has us ready to move. In a brand new kitchen, gas lines and mains. For unknown reasons, another gas leak had begun. The gas had leaked for hours, filling the lower half of the house with a poisonous odorless vapor. Mom sat down on the couch and went to spark up a cigarette. The gas ignited, and at first a trail of fire had made a halo around my mother's head, singeing all the hair on top of my mother's head. We watched, like in slow motion, the blanket of fire spread across the room. Natasha and I run, dragging a dazed and confused mom and my baby sister Stephanie in her bassinet towards and out the front door. We dash out as fast as we can, spalling out onto the front lawn, then, boom. The windows shattered, projectile glass act as a shrapnel, shit, another explosion, smoke bellows, then the flames burst out the windows, the flames roar reaching for oxygen. We watch on as flames engulf the house once again. A lady's voice begins to scream, "My child is inside, my child, my child, my child, there's no one but us." The woman's voice emanating from nothing but air, "My child, my child." I remember the screaming getting so loud, I had to cover my ears and put my head between my knees. I remained like that until fire brigade and ambulance turned up. When they arrived, I uncovered my ears. The screaming voice had faded. Telling you about my family would create another 25-page story, turning from something fun and funny to deep, dark, tragic, and scary. I'd be describing violence, drug abuse, a medicated child feeling unworthy of living, and all the intricate details that lead to a lost teenager with a similar frame of mind. So fuckers. I'll be telling you about the Brassington family from the neighbor's point of view. Mother Vian, a retired telecom technician to stay-at-home mom, she played vague to keep her sanity, told us kids little white lies for her own amusement, and she was the only one who knew the strategy to the games that she was consistently playing. Father Mark, a professional removalist, beer in one hand and bong on the table, he'd dabble in just about anything, building a tree house for the kids. He was everybody's best friend. 16. My older sister Natasha, 2 years older and already a professional asshole, from bashings and relentless bullyings to unforgivable acts and humiliation, all to make herself feel better about being a short little fat fucker. Myself, Ryan, with developing multiple personalities, adventurous explorations, adolescence, prepubescent experimentation, nudie magazines, more time in the neighborhood than at home. Baby sister Stephanie, probably too young to remember the house before moving. She must have been about 4 when we all got christened. A gift from my uncle was 3 bronzed silver $5 coins. Natasha stole mine, went to her school and gave 2 to her friends, and all brought a Coke and pie. When I found them missing, I told Mom. Natasha was asked what happened, and without interrogation, she openly admitted to swapping them at school. Her excuse was that she didn't get any money. So she spent mine, shouting her year 7 classmates a pies and Cokes. I'm still devastated. She was such an asshole. She forced me to go to a different high school than her, and at the time my best friends. She claimed she was so embarrassed of me, being me and dyslexic. She was afraid all of her friends would think I was a spastic in the special needs class. See, we went dark quick, just describing the household home, but these things build resilience and just keep adding to the stories I tell you. Our childhood adventures were not for the faint-hearted. Falling from my dad's FC Holden, the door beardy Jared, no seatbelts built in. My dad takes me for a ride after a long-awaited fix. I got in. Speeding up, I stick my head outside the window, but I slide straight out, the door wide open, without realizing. My dad takes me for a ride after a long-awaited fix. I got in. Speeding up, I stick my head outside the window, but I slide straight out, the door wide open, without realizing he turns and accelerates, giving it throttle through the corner. My body hints the black-tarred gravel, sliding face first. The road like sandpaper wears away my skin, from head to shine, exposed bone. Finally, Dad stops, sticks it in reverse. Once again from nowhere he scoops me up, throwing me back into the passenger side. Where did we go? Not hospital, not to Dr. Lee, not an onion either, just straight home, cold packed towels, bruises, scabs, and cool scares. One time down at the slime time, a sharp shard of glass cleanly cuts my wrist. I remember something sharp swiped past, and when I looked, one big open gash. I swear I could see bone. I held it tight, squeezing, running as fast as I could home. 5 stitches and shots of penicillin from our favorite doctor, Dr. Lee, our closest and nearest GP. Dr. Lee, whom we visited many times for many stitches over many years. So, thank you Dr. Lee for keeping me together. I think I'd look like a rag doll if it was any other doctor. dangerous and daring. Fuck yeah. 17. Rock fights at the BMX track. I seen one coming, falling from high in the sky. I watched it get closer, bigger. I froze and smack, right between the eyes, split my face open like a butterfly, and again off it was for stitchers from Dr. Lee. Wrestling with my sister, she flips the couch on my head, off to Dr. Lee's for more stitches, this time again to the face. My cheek this time required 7 from chin to cheek, permanently disfigured, but chicks dig scares. Fight or flight. Natasha invites me to the front door after a shower. She then throws me outside naked, slightly cold after a shower. Was I embarrassed? Fuck no. I shook my little booty, struck my stuff, stuck my finger to the world, then played air guitar and rocked it, fucking naked to the world. Well, that's my childhood neighborhood, and I'm sure there's more to tell. I hope you're here next time to listen, otherwise I'm just reminiscing about an awesome old time. Dylan Brassington, August 31st, 2021.
Presented by Consciously Evolving Enterprises. Thank you for listening. I realized I repeated a little bit there, but thank you for your patience. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do these days.